Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the professor, and this is the moment of truth.
That one, they push this out there as a clip and to make the video go viral or whatever. And I'm a click-chasing clown. And again, I know that's Portnoy saying that. And Club Shay Shay, Shannon's team, click-chasing or whatever, promote him taking a shot at me. There's no substance to what's being said here about me. A click-chasing clown. And again, it's not that I'm above criticism, but like if you're going to criticize me, there's some substantive things you could criticize about me. You could say, again, and I would respect this criticism.
Well, since you ask so nicely, for the poor lost souls who accidentally come across this guy's channel, we gotta say a few words about this cockroach, Jason Whitlock. I forget what he calls his so-called podcast. I think it's called Brainless or something, but you notice immediately that this guy mentions women's body parts a lot on his channel. He just fixates on it. Shannon Sharpe and some white guy mentioned that fact, and Whitlock got triggered by it. He's having a good time making sport out of Shannon Sharpe, and the natural response is, does Jason Whitlock ever worry that some woman might make some accusation against him? Of course not. I mean, just look at him. He doesn't have any money, and the closest he's been to a woman is the girl who works the window at McDonald's. And she's still traumatized from the time he proposed marriage in the drive-thru. This clown has been pathetically trying and failing to get himself a gig working at some white media sports channel. Seems like every job that he gets, he loses it in short order. This is his real beef with Shannon Sharpe. In fact, this is actually his beef with the world. He has zero writing talent, and I think it goes without saying he has absolutely no athletic background, obviously. Jason Whitlock's been out here butt-kissing a Beat the Band for decades on end, just shamelessly attacking black people. That's what he's been reduced to. And he's just sure that if he does it long enough, some white media executive will finally notice him and take him out of obscurity. Gee, he has more than a little in common with Roly-Poly Martin in that regard now, don't he? But Jason Whitlock is the black male equivalent of Malika Andrews, and he seems to think that his ticket to ride is going to be a fixation on women's bust lines because he puts them in nearly all of his thumbnails. I gotta wonder if he owns a van with no windows. Nah, that would require him to get a driver's license, and that fat fool ain't left the house in years. Seriously, the sexual repression from this creep is ridiculous. It's tangible. If you have the misfortune of YouTube's algorithm putting his crap in front of you, as soon as you see the thumbnail or the title, you're going to feel dirtier and dumber than you did just 5 seconds earlier. This guy is respected by no one, and I mean absolutely nobody. He got publicly excoriated by Stephen Smith, for God's sake. And when that happened, instead of Stephen Smith being taken to task, there were people who were actually going, you know what? Stephen Smith's got a point. Stephen Smith, he ain't no prize, but for God's sake, he's right about this Jason Whitlock character. I mean, that's the lowest of the low. When Stephen Smith can dunk on you and nobody disagrees, that's how you know you're screwed up. All of that butt kissing and buck dancing and backstabbing this clown did all these years, and not a single one of the chumps he was doing all that for spoke up on his behalf. Even the people who he thinks that he's catering to, they don't even want to have anything to do with him. Oh, and on a side note, Malika Andrews attacking black men nonstop hasn't translated into her becoming as well paid as, say, a Shannon Sharpe or a Stephen Smith. She's still trying to be the next Joy Taylor, and she just might make it if you know what I mean. Don't let that one fly over your head. But in the end, she'll wind up like Joy Taylor, or like Sage Steele. Jason Whitlock, on the other hand, he's basically trying to find whatever he thinks is going to appeal to racist white bigots online, like DeSantis and those clouds in Florida, trying to chase whatever's trending on the moment on the internet. See, this is what happens when you're so lazy you spend all your time staring at your phone. Jason Whitlock's not very bright, so he doesn't want to accept that the white media's need for dedicated bootlicks has dwindled. The Coon train used to have 5 or 6 cars on it, but now it's down to a measly caboose. I've always said that the dominant society is years behind the curve, which is why you need to listen to the black media. Well, the same goes for their bootlicks. See, when you hitch your wagon to the white media's star, you also become years behind the curve too. Jason Whitlock's playing the old game. And not only is it antiquated, it's also a game that only worked for a small number of bootlicks. It ain't gonna work for him. And slow as he is, he has yet to figure out he won't be one of the lucky few. But then again, what else can he do? He has no skills other than butt kissing and stuffing his own pie hole, so it's either this or he becomes a professional competitive eater. Before it's all over, I fully expect this clown to demand that Major League Baseball stop recognizing Jackie Robinson Day. And when he decides to pull that stunt, he'll be saying something white guilt, I don't see color, These days, he's whining full-time about DEI, and he's trying to see if he can get himself into the algorithm talking about black fatigue. This guy just throws stuff against the wall to see if anything will stick. Well, I hate to break it to him, but America has Jason Whitlock fatigue. After all, when Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharpe, and everybody in the media can dunk on you, and they get actually lauded for it, or at the very least they have no opposition, that's your cue that you have made a royal fool of yourself. This guy is so attached to whatever the white right is griping about on social media, at this point I'm expecting him to bring back a couple of golden oldies about critical race theory. See, this is what the Chris Rufos and the Jason Whitlocks will never understand. This stuff that's memeing, this is not how you win a culture war, and it's not how you wage a successful social movement. You don't do it through memes on the internet. But when you happen to be bankrolled by billionaires, you don't actually represent the society. You represent a small handful of bigoted power brokers. And if you're Jason Whitlock, that's who you're desperately hoping to get a job from. Jason Whitlock is a race grifter. He constantly whines and complains about how put upon white society is, though he can never show anyone who's been harmed or even damaged. He simultaneously says that black people fixate on race while at the same time he does nothing but complain about race. You cannot lecture black people that racism doesn't exist in society and that there is no racism anymore, and that being the case, it's a relic of the past and you should stop talking about it, while at the same time whining and complaining that this or that white athlete, who's being paid millions by the way, is getting the short end of the stick because they're white. But of course, Jason Whitlock's little brain farts aren't meant to make sense. What they're meant to do is to delight a handful of bigots online who he hopes to turn into a following so that he can try to cash them in with this or that advertiser. That's the end goal. And I'm not saying that there's anything inherently wrong with gathering an audience so that you can basically monetize them, but I am saying that there's definitely something wrong when you're saying things that are not true. When you're telling lies about what's being done to the black community and why it's being done against us, all so that you can ingratiate yourself to the very forces who are doing it to us in the first place. He's a goofball and a disgrace to Generation X, but since when has any generation not had its bottom feeders and gutter trash, right? How are you going to be damn near 60 years old and you're trying to be some kind of edgelord like a 13-year-old in your mother's basement with no adult supervision? He chases memes and posts things constantly alluding to women's bust lines. That's what he's doing. He belongs in a Reddit forum or on 4chan. When it comes to these bootlicks in front of these cameras, remember, they're auditioning to a white audience, specifically some white media editor or producer that they're hoping to catch the eye of. I've told you for years about how Issa Rae, long before Diary of an Awkward Black Girl, she had tried a number of web series and ideas that she posted online. She herself admitted that she did it because she was intentionally trying to find something that she hoped would appeal to some white media company so that she could get herself a TV deal. And when she did her little online sideshow that portrayed her as a sexually libidinous black woman lusting for white men and portrayed black men as all being losers and whatnot, she wrote that. She produced that. She was proud of it. And that's what she offered to the white media that got them to finally fling open the doors for her, and she's been doing it ever since. See, black folks know exactly what it is that white power wants to see. If you're a Negro trying to find the easy way to get yourself into white power's graces, we know what you gotta do. Deny reality, dog out other black people, and somebody's gonna throw you a few butter biscuits or at least a few butter biscuit crumbs. Issa Rae knew what they wanted to see. If she was gonna get them to offer her a job, that was no accident. And neither is Jason Whitlock's sad little grift. See, the problem with Whitlock is he's simply not good enough. He's not knowledgeable enough to be a sports writer. He's not intelligent enough to be a commentator. He's not charismatic enough to be an on-air personality. And he's not edgy enough to be an online crap poster either. When you look at his whining about DEI and anything related to black people, you can't help but think, I've heard this all before from other clowns, and at least they weren't quite as uninteresting as he is. His online rants are as brainless as the audience he's trying to appeal to, and that has to be the greatest failure of Jason Whitlock. Well, that and his refusal to call Jenny Craig for help. Even putting his pathetic anti-black bashing aside, there's simply no redemptive value to this man. There's not even educational or entertainment value to him. Even if he was a comedian in a foreign country, he still wouldn't be worth watching and wouldn't be worth criticizing. He's nearly retirement age now, and whatever career prospects he thought he had aren't dying, they're stillborn. And you want to know why? It's because, try as he might, Jason Whitlock is something far worse than offensive. He's boring. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. David Williams, Joseph Shorter, 2 Gigabytes, Turk McKenzie, and Yup. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.